All right, today we're unpacking a story that gets right to the heart of the tech world right now. It's a story about incredible innovation, massive power, and, the high stakes drama that happens when those two things collide. We're going to use the internal struggles at Google as a case study for one of the biggest challenges of our time. How in the world do you govern artificial intelligence? This really brings us to the central question that's keeping CEOs, engineers, and honestly, policymakers up at night. What happens when our ability to build these powerful new things outpaces our ability to understand and manage their consequences? This isn't some sci-fi problem anymore. It's happening right now, in real time. And from there, you get to an even sharper, tougher question. Who gets to decide? Is it the engineers who are writing the code? The executives who are setting the strategy? Is it an ethics board? Regulators? I mean, when you're building systems that can literally reshape society, who actually gets to draw the line in the sand? That, right there, is the core of the governance crisis. To really get our heads around this dilemma, you have to look at a company that lives and breathes it every single day: Google. They are without a doubt a pioneer in AI. But with that pioneering spirit comes this immense weight of responsibility. And trying to navigate that dual role, well, that's where the real challenge begins. I mean, just look at how deeply AI is woven into the fabric of Google, and by extension, into all of our digital lives. This isn't some side project for them. It's the engine behind search, it's the brain in their language models, it's the logic telling you what to watch next. And right alongside all this tech, the company was publicly championing its own principles for ethical AI. So it looked like they were all set to lead, not just in what they could build, but in how they built it. So here's the crucial point. When the cracks really started to show, the problem wasn't a bug in the code. It wasn't a failure of the algorithms. The systems that were breaking down, they were the human systems. The real challenge was one of governance, the rules, the processes, and the structures for making decisions about this incredibly powerful technology. And that breakdown of the human systems, well, it created a ton of friction. I mean, look, when you have a massive organization moving at the speed of light, you're gonna get some friction. That's normal. But at Google, this wasn't just healthy debate. It became a fundamental conflict between the need to move fast and the demand for safety and responsibility. This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? You can see the two competing value systems that were operating inside the company. On one side, you have that relentless Silicon Valley drive. Move fast, get it to billions of users, launch the next big thing. And on the other side, you've got this cautious, critical perspective of ethics. Be responsible, make sure it's fair, and seriously consider the societal impact before you launch. When those two priorities aren't aligned from the very top, they don't just compete, they clash hard. And this clash wasn't some abstract idea. It got very real in very specific and pretty painful ways. There were public fights over how transparent research findings should be. There were internal battles over whether the company's own ethical rules were even being enforced. And, maybe most importantly, there was total confusion over who had the final say. Who had the authority to make the call when innovation and ethics were pulling in opposite directions? This just destroyed internal trust and sent a really confusing message to the rest of the world. So all of this conflict, all of this tension, it all led to this one profound, critical insight. This is basically the diagnosis for the whole problem. You can't just hope for the best. You can't rely on good intentions or some ad hoc conversations in the hallway when you're operating at the scale of a global tech giant. Ethics has to be just as structured, just as intentional, and just as scalable as the technology itself. Okay, so if just winging it is the problem, what's the solution? The answer is building a formal framework for responsibility. It's about treating ethics not as this philosophical debate club, but as a real operational discipline. It's about actually engineering a system for making responsible decisions. So, what does that look like? Well, it really comes down to these three pillars. First, clear frameworks. That means everyone knows the rules of the road before they even start building. Second, defined accountability. So when a tough call needs to be made, there's zero ambiguity about who makes it and why. And third, consistent processes. The ethical standards you apply to a huge high-profile project have to be the exact same ones you apply to a tiny experiment. Without this kind of structure, innovation just gets chaotic and the risks multiply like crazy. Now, it's really easy to look at all this and just write it off as a Google problem, but that would be a huge mistake. We're zooming out here because the lessons from this are critically important for every single organization in every industry that's even thinking about using AI. This is about strategy, it's about ethics, and frankly, it's about survival. We have to completely change how we think about this technology. For years, businesses have seen AI as just another tool, right? A more advanced way to boost efficiency or sales. But that era is over. AI is now a core strategic force that shapes not only your business, but the society it operates in. Ignoring its ethical and societal impact isn't just irresponsible anymore, it's a massive business risk.
So, what are the big lessons we can pull from all this? First off, governance can't be an afterthought. It has to be formalized. Second, ethics isn't some final checkbox you tick at the end. It has to be baked in from day one. Third, trust is your most valuable asset, and the only way you build it is with transparency. And finally, and this is maybe the most crucial one, none of this works if the leadership team isn't 100% aligned on these principles.
And that brings us to the final core conclusion here. The central lesson from Google's whole journey, and the most important idea to take away from this, is that the old wall between business strategy and ethical considerations has completely crumbled. In the age of AI, they're the same thing. Your ethical framework is your strategy for long-term success. So we'll end by turning the question back to you. Real leadership in this new era isn't just about building the most powerful or the most capable AI, it's about showing the deepest sense of responsibility for how it's built and deployed. So the real question is, when you look at your own team, your own company, your industry, are you ready for that responsibility?